up, guys? I'm Sean Ryan with Vigilance Elite. Today we're going to talk about tourniquets, how to put them on, your buddies. I always have one of these things when I carry.
Dude, can I do it?
Can we just cut that?
Dude, what?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is my buddy Dave Rutherford, also known as Rut. Former SEAL, actually put me through training, and then also worked together at CIA.
Bam!
Combat medic.
Awesome. How you doing? Now I'm a motivational speaker and author for kids and adults, and podcast host for the Team Never Quit podcast. Sean, I can't even begin to tell you how stoked I am to be out here on the range with you and Vigilance Elite, brother. This is making my day for sure.
Right on.
What are we talking about today?
Tourniquets.
My specialty. All right. Now, one of the greatest things that has happened, obviously, over the last 35 years is the fact that in special operations combat medicine, we have moved away from civilian paramedicine. Before you got in, pre-9/11, we were lingering on some old school ideas and techniques, and one of the kind of the stalwarts in that kind of medical training was you don't use tourniquets. That's the last resort. Now, thank God we had some very smart people take a good look at Mogadishu and Black Hawk Down incident and say we need to wipe the slate clean and start fresh. And with that, this whole new concept called tactical combat casualty care was introduced, and that's what the stuff that we were teaching you guys in SQT back in the early 2000s. Now, what we've discovered is in all the research on combat-related injuries, we found that basically you can stop mortality with penetrating trauma up to about 80% with two different types of treatments. Two. Number one, tourniquets, right?
Yeah.
Any penetrating trauma through any of your arm, your limbs, boom, tourniquet goes on. And it has saved, I don't even know. I mean, I was with two guys that saved their lives. I'm sure you've been around, you've seen guys' lives save the same thing. So tourniquets and then occlusive dressings for penetrating chest trauma. So, why are they so effective, man? Well, because they're not tourniquets back from the World War II stuff where you opened up like the meal cans and you'd have your sea rats and a tourniquet in there or some shit. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Nowadays, man, they've gone all out, and it was really this little ditty right here. Remember when these things came out, man?
Oh, yeah.
Holy cat, the cat tourniquet. And this sucker has really been revolutionary for tourniquets. It's simple to use. It's got this killer windlass, and you can put it on any single one. And the cool thing is you know, a lot of times you get these guys, these big hosses in our platoons, right, that are huge, and this sucker will take care of it. It'll cinch it down on some big behemoth Earl Campbell style leg, right, or some dude that's got a bicep the size of my head, right? This thing will get around it and get on it easily. There's also a bunch of other ones out there. There's the SF tourniquet, which is a little bit beefier, right? This thing's got the metal ratchet to it and the windlass to it. It's got these kind of plastic. These were the only kind of weak points we found in it. And then it's got this kind of locking nut, so when you actually are moving guys. Because one of the things that we saw with Velcro is what, brother?
Yeah, when it gets wet and bloody and
dirty,
yep,
they become very difficult to use. And as you're moving a guy 25 meters, 500 meters, and you're dragging them through the mud because you're the only guy there dragging around, these things can have a tendency to come undone. Well, this sucker right here with this windlass and the way it cinches down, and this right here, it's one of the better ones, I believe. The only negative part on this is kind of the cinching strap is a little thin for my taste, for necrosis on the skin, but right, it's life over limb.
Yeah.
That's the main principle in all combat fighting, is it's life over limb. So you got these two, which are phenomenal. This is the most widely used there. This is not so much, and then of course there's the new rats, man. And I'll tell you what, I'm wasn't real familiar with this thing when I was in the teams because it came out later. But once I worked at the agency and started using this, and then recently, for sure, this thing's pretty badass. It's small, it's compact. I love the way when you cinch it down, it doesn't stretch, there's some give and take to it because of the versatility of the actual the rubberized strength in this material right here. It's really good. The cinching mechanism is great, and with the multiple wraps on somebody, you can really get a good proper, you know, gap, that 2-inch gap that provides that good solid blood stoppage.
So real quick on this one though, this came out like, I don't know, maybe a year or two before I left the agency, and you know, I never ran one because I didn't feel like it had been proven yet. A lot of other guys were running them.
You know where it was big? It was big in the SF community, because a lot of times they're working with indige guys, and with these tourniquets right here, because of the way the cinching mechanism, when you get real skinny guys that you're working with, whether it's the Iraqis or it's the Afghans, sometimes, man, it's hard to get good blood stoppage on those guys. I mean, bigger guys, no problem, but even if you're working around children, because remember, SF medics, sometimes they're treating kids as well too, this doesn't. This is awesome for just about every size, whether it's a child all the way up to, you know, baby Huey on your platoon.
Now, when they did come out with these, one thing they also said was no lower extremities, so no legs. I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, or if this is a new and improved one. I mean, you know, but
the great challenge, right, with any tourniquet based on a larger guy is compression against that either brachial artery, which runs there, or your femoral arteries, right, or your popliteal arteries down below. And if you've got a lot of muscle, a lot of beef, plus swelling that happens immediately from trauma, right, cavitation, expansion of muscle tissue, blast injuries, all that, sometimes to get that compression around that artery can be difficult. I remember my particular case, I had to put a second tourniquet on up above the original one, because the first one, there was so much swelling that we stopped having that good pressure on it. So I think that's kind of one of the things that they might believe that struggles. I don't know any guys that have used those on a lower extremity, and I haven't talked to anybody who's used those on, other than videos I've seen, and there's a truckload of videos on YouTube.
Yeah. So let's back up for just a second. I mean, the number one killer on the battlefield is
exsanguination, bleeding out.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing this video. That's why this is so important. This also can apply to all kinds of other stuff too, like, I don't know, car accidents,
school shootings.
So great. I mean, if you could pick one piece of medical kit,
hands down a tourniquet.
Yep.
I can't even tell you how many guys that there are out there that preach this stuff online. A lot of our buddies, everybody has them in their kit, in their middle of their glove box, all around. They're simple, they're easy to use. Man, you just can't go wrong with a tourniquet.
Yeah. All right. So why don't you show us how to put them on?
So what we're going to do is we're going to just do a little test run on you, okay? And
all right.
Just show what we're going to do is just do a little test run on you, and we're going to show your subscribers how this works, and just get them out there going and thinking properly when the shit hits the fan. All right. So the big thing is when you stage your tourniquet, where you stage it, where you put it on your kit, where you put it in your back pocket. Make sure your loops are generally big enough for all the way you set them at the size of your thigh, the biggest part of your thigh, and that's where you kind of how you stage it. All right. So basically, let's say we're in it, you know, we get to cover and concealment. Sean's bleeding out. He's like, man, help me, I'm dying, right? So I come on, simple, easy. All right, Sean, put it up. We go as high as we can, right? And we want to make sure we get that nice brachial artery, right, on the good part. Try not to put any of the plastic or anything on the bottom side next to the brachial artery, because that can interfere with the nice pressure we want, right? So boom, come on, get that good cinch, make sure it's nice and tight, right? Good to go. Now all of a sudden we take our windlass, we twist that sucker, and listen, this is not like feel-good day of the week, right? You are stopping bleeding. That is the essential component of what you're doing here. So make sure you get that thing, you get it cinched on there, and you do it right the first time. All right, turn it on, get it in there. You'll lock it in. A key component to always remember are these little safety tabs right here, right? Making sure that goes all the way over, so when this windlass, should it get pressed or moved out, does not pop out. Another thing you want to try and do is try and figure out how to get this, get this piece secured in some way. A lot of times on my kit, I would have tape. I would just try and get it as balled up and as friendly, as nice as possible. Maybe even put it in there like this. Just try and police it up so it's not out of the way, cinching and pulling off. All right. How we doing? Is your hand going numb yet, brother?
Yeah, it's numb. So guys, this doesn't feel good, all right? So when you put these on and you're practicing,
zilch.
It sometimes, they say that it actually hurts worse than the actual gunshot wound.
Oh, I've heard that every time.
And then also, if it's right, you will not feel a pulse, all right?
Settle.
Which I don't feel a pulse. You can see my hands turning purple here.
Look at this.
All right?
No blood flow, no cap refill, so this sucker's working.
All right, so let's take this off. So, what about, when I got out of the teams, I went to a EMT course because I was going to be a firefighter, and it was like tourniquet's like a bad word there.
Yep.
That was, 10 years ago or whatever. But
well, the difference is in civilian medicine, right? You have a transport time that in most urban environments, you're looking at anywhere from 5 to 12 minutes tops. So what they don't want to do is they don't want to cause tissue necrosis.
Okay.
Now, when you have a tourniquet on, you're really looking at, reducing some major blood flow. You can damage the actual nerve endings in that tissue. And really what happens is the wounds become even more exaggerated, and it's just bad jujus. It's bad medicine. But on a battlefield, and if you're in an active shooter environment, man, life over limb. Don't worry about that, right? I'd rather have a mangled looking arm or a little bit of deterrent than be dead.
okay.
All right. So the next one, what do you got to be able to do too? Because not everybody's running around with your best friend fully strapped, ready to go to battle at all times.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to do it yourself. This one, I'm going to demonstrate the rats here. I love this one. I think the SF guys that invented this are top-notch, smart dudes. Pretty easy to run, right? Make sure you have this 3-finger in your loop here, right here, at a minimum 3-finger. Drop that sucker on, right? Comes through. And now this is about as simple as Simon can make. All you do is you start cinching down, make it get high, right? Get on that brachial, right? Boom. And you are, boom, cinching that sucker down. Ow, that hurts like a, maybe this isn't a good idea. No, I'm just kidding. So this gets down, you simply put that sucker in there, boom, secured, bud. How am I doing?
Good.
Good?
Yeah,
Gone?
Good.
And that's all she wrote right there, man. That's tourniquet application. Hey man, take this thing off.
All right, there you go.
So that's it, brother.
All right. So, couple of key pointers here, all right? You don't always have time to look and see where the gunshot wound is, all right? So, if you have an exit wound down here in the cap or right here, there's an entry wound somewhere. It might be up here. So, good rule of thumb, get it on quick. Get it up as high as you can get on your arm or as high up on your thigh as you can get it. All right, that way you don't miss any bullet holes, all right? So
the less blood out, the greater opportunity you have to survive that incident.
Also, one other point, if you don't have one of these, all right, you can get creative. Cut a shirt up, use your belt, anything you can do, all right? Bandana, all this shit works, okay? It's just that constant pressure to keep that blood from flowing out.
Amen.
So,
good job, brother.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
So, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to be notified, hit the bell down there at the bottom. Subscribe to our Instagram account.
Instagram.
Team Frog Logic, Sean Ryan 762, and Vigilance Elite. All right.
Hey, dude. What about him? Hey, brother. Guess what? We're going to do that neck tourniquet on you now. Let's go.